Willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome once again to another Cladding Matters, the weekly show where we discuss all things to do with fire safety. In this particular case, PAS 9980 and its consistently watered down efforts, and also the fact that the government would dearly love for it to be enshrined in law. But they're not just us, but also various other members of the public are kicking back against it. Normally we'd be joined by Steve Day, who is, I'm afraid, out and about and unable to get within earshot, or should I say Wi-Fi shot of a decent signal. But we are here to give you a brief update as to what's been going on. Hamish, what's the latest?
Well, apologies again for the timing today. It's because we've been struggling trying to get Steve connected, but if his video signal isn't picking up, he's not in his usual place of place where he actually sort of gives the podcast from.
Yeah.
And although he changes from time to time, on this particular occasion, the signal just isn't there. But it's nothing unusual because what we've got here is another signal that's not there in this wondrous PAS 9980, which keeps coming up. The reason we're speaking about it, and it's one of the subjects that Steve can speak about in a sort of great extent. The reason we're speaking about it, it is a subject which will be discussed within the House of Parliament and the House of Lords too, because as you well know, there are a number of people behind this diluted sort of kind of solution that's been suggested, which came out, unfortunately, without full investigation when the Building Act came out in 2022. And as we well know, the challenge with any bill that becomes an act, if it's not looked at in sort of great detail. Now, bear in mind, this was a Conservative one. It was a Conservative bill that became an act and it was passed by them. But it's caused tremendous difficulties because of the way, first of all, those who aren't included, and sometimes figuring out who is included. But on this particular occasion, the aspect we want to speak about is a standard which was suggested as being an adequate standard to which these buildings could be remediated, or the standard they needed to meet if they didn't require remediation. Now, the problem with it, it's not a full standard as such, which means different people, as they look at it, can have a different opinion about it. And it's not quite, if they fell out of bed the wrong side, it's not quite as bad as that. But within it, it depends who you will speak to. And we've met tremendous reaction from a number of people as a consequence of the podcast when we speak about this PAS 9980, but we really want a standard that is adequate for people so they can live in their safe homes.
It does seem to be completely open to interpretation, and that means that, for instance, it's perfectly feasible to leave highly combustible materials located on fire shafts, for instance. And even though that would seem to be, well, crazy, it is just about allowable within the bounds of PAS 9980. That seems to be a bit nuts to me. Have I got this wrong?
Absolutely not. You're perfectly correct. I mean, it was our fire safety expert who we were speaking to, whereby what he's suggesting, if it's on the exterior of the building, the fire escape and but particularly of the type that we actually sort of see at Royal Artillery Quays,
right?
That is concluded that any glass on the exterior of the building is considered to be cladding. So right the way down the outside, there is this glass. And as our expert was telling us, this is liable to shatter and do all sorts of things. It's not the appropriate glass, which being the only exit available to any of those in the building, it does. I mean, we were having a conversation yesterday with one of our legal experts, and all she could say was the best thing is, because she was advising somebody, and they were on something like the 16th floor, and she said to them, because she was advising against their going in, then they said, no, we really want it. We really want it. She said, you best take a parachute with you when you buy it and get into some parachute training, because that's the only way you can guarantee getting out. You actually sort of land safely, and it's another matter.
Well, quite. I think that's probably the issue here, isn't it? You could be trapped in by dint of bad location just because there is no way for you sensibly to be able to get out at all. And it's the fact that this is being done barefaced in front of everyone. It's like we don't care anymore, and we do. It just seems unfair that they're allowed to effectively ride roughshod over us. Am I missing the point here?
No, they have been doing this, and sadly, there are a number of properties that have been remediated using this particular standard. Now, they will have to be investigated because, unfortunately, those buildings, because of the state of the PAS 9980 and this the type of material which is being left in there, the insurance company is saying, no, we know likey. And there's a good reason for that, because we've spoken about the dangers of glass, but it's the content, within the cladding itself, there's material that can catch fire. They're using, they just ignore aspects. It should have been metal fixings. But they put plastic in because now when you actually sort of think that all this cladding is held on with plastic, I mean, what good is that? And it's things of that particular sort of nature that somebody looking at it from their perspective would suggest, as far as they're concerned, it wouldn't kill everybody necessarily. So therefore it's okay. Now, it might be okay for them. It's not okay for the insurance company. The insurance company, Steve was saying, massive amounts, £6,000 a year. What do you pay? Anybody who's listening here, what do you pay for your home insurance?
I bet you
people, I would suggest, is less than 1,000.
Well, yes, absolutely. And the problem is this: also, a lot of insurance brokers won't even countenance it, because if there's a hint of flammability to it, and they'll run a mile. And do you know what? If I was running an insurance firm, I would too, because looking at Grenfell and successive disasters since then, there's been several since then where flats have lit up and dripped down from floor to floor. The trouble is, to refer back to what I said before, they're still wanting to leave on the sides of buildings flammable XPAs. I forgot what it's called now, but they had the same consistency as firelighters, frankly. So they're willing to take off the cladding, which was the fundamental cause, but they're going to leave on the stuff that is just as flammable. So yeah, if I was an insurance company, I wouldn't want to go within a mile of it. Why would you?
Well, the thing is, when this particular standard actually came out, it was never intended that the cladding should be stripped back to basically the framework of the building, which in some respects, don't want to frighten anybody, is possibly a good thing, because there are so many frames that have actually been built which are deemed unsafe. And this is where we've actually sort of seen people having to be moving out of the buildings because the frames decided, it's concluded the frame is unsafe and there's no way they can stay in it.
They call it decanting, don't they? They decant the people out the building. And
yeah.
Like there is some sort of benign fluid, not like they're human beings who had a life and a home and a place that they called their own. But no, they've got to be kicked out, often with a moment's notice, because when you take the cladding off, you expose all the areas that were just thrown together or not followed any form of standard at all.
I think.
Sorry.
No, what I was going to say is we had people on there who've been caught up in that particular situation. Melissa, it was, and I mean, she's she's such a knowledgeable one, and it's as a consequence of that she set up her own company to actually look to the
Kind
safety.
Home, isn't it called?
Sorry,
Kind Stay.
Is that what it's going to say?
I think
actually come, because the basic we're speaking about materials here, and it's so very easy to speak about PAS 9980, but there are tens of thousands of people living in those properties who are mindful of the fact that they are living in an unsafe environment. It's not somewhere that they can call home and be safe within it. Now, it's as one of the incredible sort of Pink Floyd songs goes, one of my favorites. Everybody needs something called home, that they can call home, and then it's really that which is at the back of it, which is one of the main reasons which keeps us going, and why we want to keep up with the fact and keep people aware of this. And it's disliked that we actually come up with this, that we actually speak about safety to the extent that we actually speak about safety, because what it means, the builders themselves need to take responsibility for it, and they do not like us calling them out. And as Steve pointed out last week, again, the percentage of properties which actually sort of exist and they do need sort of some kind of remediation are absolutely awesome to the extent that it's a serious concern. And what they're speaking about, and I don't know what it was, there was some contact. My wife was saying to me that there are discussions on Parliament and all will be resolved in all these buildings by 2030. Well, they haven't found half of them yet. They haven't looked at half of them yet.
No,
it's taken the skirt off to look at the petticoat yet. How on earth can they do that?
Oh, by the way, I'm just going to respond to a comment that's come up. This channel is talking all about what happens when you respond to the cladding disaster that is befallen us since Grenfell, and the fact that there are many thousands of similar buildings that haven't been looked at. And the next stage from that is when you take the cladding off and you realize the poor building quality that's been used to put the things together and the building safety issues that create from that. So that's Dubonamic, I think his name is. That's what this channel's about, and we talk about regularly about this topic. Normally you have a couple of specialists on the topic and even people who have been through this whole process with us. Unfortunately, one of them's away at the moment and nowhere near a Wi-Fi signal. So it's just Hamish and I. Hamish runs a search company which is specializing in finding out everything you need to know before you buy a house. And I'm a commentator, if you like, and I help promote. So that's everything. Hamish, we're going to cut this short today, I think, because we really want to have Steve on when we can. But would you care to take us home?
Right, we can actually do that. It's because of the subject matter. It is something which is so vital that we do keep on about it, and it's a little unfortunate we want to bring it a little bit to a close, because the depth of the situation can only be explained by somebody, two people really, that would do it effectively. There would be that fire expert that we would actually be able to sort of have here. It would be good to have a building here. It would be great if a builder from somewhere was to come along and tell us what their concept, what their belief is, whichever way it is. Is PAS 9980 adequate? Are you happy to build properties to that standard?
Yes, you know, that would be superb. So I encourage, if there are any commercial builders out there, ideally ones who build offices or blocks of flats or domiciles above, what's the height?
18 feet, I believe.
Above 18 meters.
18 feet, by golly, yes. 18 meters.
Yes, 18 meters. I encourage you to approach either myself or Hamish, and we'll get you on the show so you can put your side of the argument. But thank you so much, Hamish. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about these topics. Thank all of you. I see you flitting on and off. I hope you found that useful. Come back next week. We'll have Steve Day here, who is currently locked in his flat. Well, he would be locked in his flat in Royal Artillery Keys, fighting to get proper remediation done. We also have whistleblowers. We have people who are within the fire community. We have people who are councillors. We've had MPs. We've had lords. We've had all sorts of people. This show gets quoted over in Australia. It's been quoted in the House of Lords, and it's been quoted in the House of Parliament. So we are making waves, and we're trying to make sure that we get on top of this cladding crisis, on this public safety crisis that is just waiting to erupt, because there are thousands of people in the UK currently living in properties that are deemed unfit for human habitation because they are not fire safe. And I'm going to leave you with that. Hamish, thank you so much for taking your time out. To all you watching, please keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. And please look after that mental health. Until next week. Bye-bye.
There's a tale about some folks with hammers and some nails. They'll plunge through the moon, but their word always fails.